Hey everyone, it's Kira with Polymer Clay TV, and I'm going to show you today how to go from this and a couple of techniques with this to create these. These are spoon owls, and they were so much fun to make. And I'm going to show you a fun technique for making the belly and the wings and put him all together. So let's get started. We're going to be working with a version of what people call the Sutton slice. And here you can see that I started to fill my stamp, and I'm going to use two contrasting colors of clay. So I have souffle in turnip, that's that color, and key lime, which is my other. These two colors are like my favorites. I like them and I like how they go together. So I'm filling the Feather Your Nest stamp, which you can get at createalong.com. I'm filling it with the turnip clay. And how you do that, I'm not going to go through the entire process because it can be kind of tiresome trying to get it completely correct. But you can see here that a couple of my little spaces in here are not full of clay. And what you do basically is you press your sheet of clay down into your stamp, and then you peel it back with you basically shave the surface of the clay with your blade. And you might miss a few spots, and if you do, then you go back like I am right now and you backfill it. And you just make sure that all the areas where you want it to be filled have clay, and then you gently shave the whole thing back with your blade. So you're trying to end up with the clay mostly down in the stamp area and shaved off the top so that you can see all the lines of your stamp without any like little missing holes. So unless your clay is really mushy, it could take a little while to get it completely perfect. So you just kind of do this back and forth process of shaving gently. You can even curve your blade a little bit until your stamp is full in all the right places. Like, I'm not doing this whole entire area because I only need enough to cover the belly of my owl. So I only need this section here, which is why I'm focusing my effort on one spot. So once I've got it pretty well filled and shaved back so that I can see all the lines of the stamp, then I'm going to come back with my second color, which is going to be the key lime. And I picked these colors because of the high contrast between the purple and the yellow. You're ready for part two. What you can do is think about, see, I have my spoon here and I'm going to be covering the belly of my little owl, so I can look and see like how much of this do I really need. I can clean up a little bit so that I'm not worried about where my clay is going to end up or about like wasting it. So I can come around the edges and say, you know, I don't need it that big or whatever, and pull the clay back out of the stamp so that I'm not wasting it with the next step. Because now I'm going to take a piece of conditioned clay in the contrasting color and lay it over top of this and push it on really good. You can roll it if you have luck with that, but a lot of times when I use my roller, I just end up like rolling the clay onto the roller, so I prefer using my hands for this part. I'm making contact with the clay that is all pushed down into the stamp. And now you're going to peel back your stamp and have your clay all textured and stuck to that piece there. So for this next step, we are going to take some Pearlex, and the color that I'm using is Super Copper, and it is one more contrast to the rest of the colors that I'm using. So what I'm going to do with the Super Copper is I'm going to put it on my finger liberally, and then I'm going to rub it only across the top of these lines, the purple lines, only on the top, making sure that I get a lot of it only on the top, which is why I wouldn't use something like a brush or any other tool. I'm using my finger because I can feel that I'm pressing it on, rubbing it into the top ridges of this design. And then what I'm going to do next is go to my pasta machine. So I'm going to take this and run it flat. I'm going to run it in like both directions, once this way, once that way, until the surface is flat, and then I'll show you what that looks like. Now is when you can see the really super cool effect of doing that. So I'm pretty much flat, although I'm very close in, so you can see a little bit of not flatness, but the surface is basically flat, and you can see that now I have the pattern of the yellow, the pattern of the purple, and the pattern of the copper in the middle of all those purple sections. So I really like how that came out, and I'm going to use it for the belly of my owl. So for this next part, I'm just going to cover the bottom part of the spoon with this clay, and I'm going to press it on nice and good because I'm going to bake it right on here. So I'm basically going to pretend like I was going to cover this metal with clay and get it stuck on the back of the spoon. Make sure there are no air pockets in there because that would be incredibly annoying later. And then I'm just going to run my blade along the edge of the spoon to take off the excess. And then up top here, I don't need all this, so I'll cut some of this off, because that's where his little face is going to go. So for this next part, I'm going to use this section of the stamp that's a little different, and I'm going to make wings for my owl. And I'm making a few at a time because I'm swapping at Polymer Clay Adventure. So you can check that out at polymerclayadventure.com. And these owls are for a swap. So I'm going to go ahead and peel that back from my stamp, and there's a really cool texture. And I'm going to use my circular cookie cutter, which comes from this set of 11 of them. And I'm going to use it to create like football shapes for the wings by going, instead of cutting out a circle, I'm going to cut out parts of a circle. So I have two like halves of a circle, and then I'm going to come back and cut this again so that it looks more like a football. And these will be the wings. So you can just place those onto your little owl body so as you don't want to completely cover up what's going on the belly. You just want to pick a direction and put them on so that they kind of overlap and poke off the side a little bit, and make sure that you press them onto the clay underneath so that they make contact. And now we're going to give the little owl a head. Now, someone taught me this a long time ago. If you roll on the edges of your hand, instead of rolling right in the middle, you'll come out with an oval shape. So that's what I did. And now I'm just going to kind of pinch it out until it's the right size to make a face, the background of the face for my owl. I feel like that's about right. So now I'm going to take one of my favorite tools, which is this chisel head rubber tip tool, and kind of feather the edges of this head piece. because we still have to do eyes and a beak. So I'm not going to get too complicated with this head portion, but I do want it to have some sort of texturing and feathery look on the outside edge. This mold, which you can also find in our shop, it has 11 different flowers on it, and when I saw this sunflower I thought, oh, there's my owl eye. So if you get enough clay to fill your mold, and just quickly make yourself a sunflower and pop that out, you'll see what I'm talking about. Isn't that cute? It's perfect. And now that it's in the context of an owl, you don't even notice that it's actually a sunflower. Maybe you will because I'm telling you, but now he just needs a beak. So for this guy's beak, I just put on some more of that key lime clay, and I'm going to use my bullet tip tool to give him nostrils, which also helps push it onto his face. And then I'm going to use a little sparkle copper Pearl-Ex to really highlight his beak and make it stand out. And to help his eyes stand out, I'm going to put a little powder around the outside edges of this flower shape. That'll help. And I have something unique that I'm going to use for his eyeballs that I'll show you in a second. So you know at Christmas time you can buy little gift packs of earrings and things. This is a gift pack of earrings that I got for like $5 and thought I could do something with them later, and I was right. So they're like little rhinestone earrings, and what I'm going to do is chop off some of the post with some wire cutters and use them for eyeballs. So when you have an idea like that, just make sure that you're making it short enough that it's gonna work for your design. So I'm just gonna check on this, because what's gonna happen is I'm going to end up, ooh, that's cool. I'm gonna end up pulling this out and gluing it back in after baking so that they don't completely fall off later. So this owl has like glowy eyes. Isn't that fun? So think about little things that you see around town, and you can use them in different ways. So here's my owl out of the oven. Isn't he adorable? And I will note that I did not bake the eyeballs in because I'm not sure of their makeup, like if they're the kind of plastic that would melt in the oven. So I made the holes and flattened the space, and then I pulled them out so that I can glue them back on when I'm all done. So if you're not sure and you pick something up like, you know, that you didn't get at the craft store, so it doesn't have the proper labeling on it, I don't know if it's glass or plastic or what, so, and what the glue is like, so I just didn't want to take the chance. So those are off to the side waiting to be finished. And I'm going to antique this little fella with some DecoArt Media Antiquing Cream in white. And I'm going to use that on the wings to further bring out the feathery texture. So what you need is some antiquing medium of your choice, and some paper towels or a soft rag or something, and a brush. So I'm going to use this little guy and basically just get this antiquing cream in all my cracks of the wings, paint it on there, and then, as with all antiquing, you want to get it in the cracks and then wipe it off. So you make sure that your brush is stiff enough that it's going to get it down into the cracks. And pay attention to where you're putting that medium. And then you're going to let it dry for a second and wipe it off the high points of your design. And I'm liking how that's looking because it's bringing that sort of white light color in and the dark color, and you can see that I got some on the owl's body. So to solve that, you just need to wet your cloth, and you can wipe it off. It's just paint, so wipe it off if you get it on the wrong spot. Very carefully remove these owls from the spoon by peeling the clay back along the edges, kind of releasing it. Get your finger up underneath the edge there. You don't want to just yank it off. You want to feel when it feels ready to go, and then you're going to have your back that you can finish however you want, and your cute little owls that are perfectly shaped because of the spoon. It's so much fun to make these. And I want to share with you the last step for me is gluing those eyes back in. And I found this glue in the hobby, like the little hobby car area, like where people build little models and things, and it's supposed to be a plastic to plastic kind of a glue. And it is a cyanacrylate, which is a super glue, but I'm really liking this glue. It's inexpensive and it's been working really well for me. So it's kind of like a gel, and it's definitely for after baking. I don't know what it would do before, but you just need a little drop, and I'm gonna put my little eye back in its socket and press it down, press it tight till it sticks, because this type of, the super glues, actually their bond forms from no air in between where the pieces are pressing together. So you want to hold that on there for a second so that you get rid of the air and let the pieces come together and really stick. And you only need a tiny bit. Just need to find where it fits and hold on to that for a second. I'm pressing it in, holding it tight, and there you go.